In the days when prophets carried the words of the living God to nations, there lived a man named Jonah, son of Amittai. He was a prophet chosen by God, but also a man with weaknesses, doubts, and fears. One day, the word of the Lord came to Jonah. "Arise, go to the great city of Nineveh, and cry out against it, for their wickedness has come up before me." But Jonah's heart trembled. Nineveh was a vast and powerful city, filled with violence and sin. He feared the people, and deep inside, he did not want to see God show them mercy. Instead of obeying, Jonah fled. He went down to the port city of Joppa, where the sea air carried the scent of salt and fish. There, he found a ship bound for Tarshish, far away in the opposite direction of God's command. He paid the fare, went aboard, and hoped to escape the presence of the Lord. But no one can run from God. As the ship sailed into the deep waters, the sky darkened. The wind howled, and waves rose like mountains. A mighty storm struck the vessel, tossing it as though it were a toy. The sailors, seasoned men of the sea, cried out to their gods in fear. They hurled cargo into the raging waters to lighten the ship, but still it threatened to break apart. Where was Jonah? He was asleep below deck. The captain shook him awake. "Arise, call upon your God. Perhaps he will consider us, so that we may not perish." The sailors, desperate to know the cause of the storm, cast lots. The lot fell on Jonah. He confessed, "I am a Hebrew. I fear the Lord, the God of heaven, who made the sea and the dry land. I am fleeing from his presence." The men trembled. "What shall we do to you, that the sea may be calm for us?" Jonah, with sorrow in his eyes, said, "Throw me into the sea, then the storm will cease." At first they resisted, rowing hard to return to land, but the waves grew fiercer. With heavy hearts, they cried out, "Lord, do not let us perish for this man's life." Then they lifted Jonah and cast him into the sea. Instantly, the storm stopped. The waves fell silent. The wind ceased. The sea was calm. The sailors stood in awe and offered sacrifices to the Lord, for they saw his power. But Jonah sank into the depths, swallowed by the waves, pulled down by the currents. Just when his breath was fading, God prepared a great fish, mighty and enormous. With a rush of water, the fish swallowed Jonah whole. For 3 days and 3 nights Jonah was in the belly of the fish. There in the darkness, with seaweed wrapped around his head and the sound of the deep roaring around him, Jonah prayed. He cried out, "I called to the Lord in my distress, and he answered me. Out of the belly of Sheol I cried, and you heard my voice. When my soul fainted within me, I remembered the Lord, and my prayer went up to you." Salvation belongs to the Lord. And the Lord heard Jonah's prayer. He commanded the fish, and it vomited Jonah onto dry land. Gasping for breath, drenched in seawater, Jonah lay on the shore. Once again, the word of the Lord came to Jonah. "Arise, go to Nineveh, that great city, and proclaim the message that I give you." This time Jonah obeyed. He entered Nineveh, a city so large it took 3 days to cross. His voice echoed through the streets. 40 days more, and Nineveh shall be overthrown." The people of Nineveh believed the message. From the greatest to the least, they humbled themselves. The king rose from his throne, laid aside his royal robe, covered himself with sackcloth, and sat in ashes. He declared a fast, commanding all people and even animals not to eat or drink, but to cry mightily to God and turn from their evil ways. God saw their repentance. His anger turned to mercy, and he spared the city. But Jonah was displeased. He sat outside the city, bitter in heart, and prayed, "Is this not what I said when I was still in my country? That is why I fled to Tarshish. For I know you are gracious and merciful, slow to anger and abundant in loving kindness, one who relents from disaster." He built a small shelter and waited to see what would happen to the city. The sun blazed, and Jonah grew faint. So the Lord prepared a plant that grew overnight, shading Jonah and bringing him comfort. Jonah was grateful. But at dawn, God prepared a worm that struck the plant, and it withered. When the sun rose, a hot east wind blew, and the sun beat down on Jonah's head so that he wished to die. Then the Lord said, "Jonah, is it right for you to be angry about the plant?" Jonah replied, "It is right for me to be angry, even to death." And the Lord answered, "You have pity on the plant for which you did not labor, nor did you make it grow. Should I not have pity on Nineveh, that great city, in which more than 120,000 people cannot discern their right hand from their left, and many animals too. And there the story ends, with a question that echoes through time. God's mercy is greater than our anger, His compassion deeper than our judgment.